Hello, parents of app students. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Brian Sibley. I'll be teaching the AP US government portion of the apps experience.
And I am Craig Hollenbeck, and I teach the international side of apps. I teach AP Comparative Politics to your kids on an every other day basis. And we wanted to just talk to you about some of the apps philosophy. And you'll hear from us individually at our group conferences, but there's a very important combined aspect to all of this and a camaraderie thing that we like to have you see both of us together because it's a really key aspect to the class.
And pre-COVID, you would all, those of you that were able to, you'd come into the class and we'd give this to you in person, but we know this is the new world for at least the foreseeable future. So, hey, as teachers, we have to learn on our feet and be quick on our feet. And so we're going to try this, and your students have had to deal with it, so do you. So basically what we're going to do is just give you the overview of what we want your student to experience. And it gives you a little bit of insight because they may come home talking funny or asking you funny questions that maybe they never did before, but we're trying to expose them to the world that we're living in, the political culture we're living in, the geopolitical side of what's going on in 2021. So we'll just kind of give you, there's 4 main points to it. And Mr. Hollenbeck will kind of give it to you, and we'll give our different perspectives on that. And we'll let you go.
Okay, sounds good. So just from an apps perspective, the idea for this came about years ago when I was teaching with Steve Swedzinski, and he was doing the AP Gov, and we thought the courses are a great complement to each other, and it's a way to make a big school a little bit smaller because there is a sense of family with all of this, and there is a sense of camaraderie. And if you hear your kids talking about things like, well, I'm a federalist, or I'm an electorate, I'm a governor, or I'm a hardliner, that's because they all have class names. And especially because it's like, we don't have an hour 2, we have 2 hour 2s. And so the kids who are with Mr. Sibley on Wednesday then come to me on Thursday, and vice versa. And so that back and forth, that flip, that every other day is why your kids need to identify themselves as either, if it's hour 2, the electorate or the federalists. And and Mr. Sibley came on board a handful of years ago when SWAD retired, and I wanted to teach with my good friend, and it's been great ever since. So I'll stop talking now so my friend can.
Oh, well, no, you said it all, but I'll touch on the family aspect. Excuse me, they have their names. I was teasing with the kids today because your student will email us about maybe they took a test late or they put assignment in late, and they'll ask us to grade it or whatever. And I will send an email like, let's say it was Susie. And my response will just be to Susie, what are you? And of course, it's going to be like, what does it mean? What am I? I'm a human. But the point being is we want them to have that family aspect, being a federalist, being an electorate, being a governor, being a hardliner, because some of the class is going to be difficult, right? Difficult to navigate, whether it's the curriculum, whether it's the rigor, whether it's the emotional. Being challenged intellectually about maybe their stance on policy. And we both try to encourage them to challenge each other and challenge us too. We're not here to indoctrinate your child. We're here to expose your children to different perspectives. I had one of our deans, Mr. Beulah, came in and he was talking about how what his philosophy is with his stepson. And his philosophy was, I am here, I messed it up, but I'm here to I'm not here to protect you. I'm here to expose you or give you exposure. I'll provide for you, but I'm not here to protect you, because when it comes to politics, when it comes to government, when it comes to the world, we need as American citizens to be exposed to all different perspectives, whether we agree with them or not, because that's our American democracy. That's honestly the world democracy. And that's what's cool, at least from my perspective. I can give them an outlook of, hey, this is what the American governmental system has been from 1776 all the way to 2021. And I also teach AP Comparative Politics, like my friend here, Mr. Hollenbeck, teaches. That gives them a different glimpse into it. But we want them to have this idea of a family. And as we know, families don't always get along, but it's going to be an atmosphere of respect, no matter the political leanings of any of your students. And we will demand that of our students.
And all I would add on to that and say, you know, Mr. Sibley and I would both say that there's immensely lacking in our society today is just legitimate critical thinking. And we absolutely will work on that with your kids to make them better critical thinkers, see things from different perspectives, and be factual in making determinations about things. And so we want to create solid citizens out of them. And they are on their way because your kids are amazing. And whatever you do as parents, your kids are just, they're so not what Mr. Sibley and I were in high school.
No.
They're amazing. So kudos to all of you. It's just incredible to us.
No doubt. Yeah, I know I can go on forever, but I was saying this to our Federalists today. It happened last Thursday. I was trying to explain something to a student about policy and a statement that someone says about facts don't care about your feelings. So I was trying to give them an example of why I think that's an ignorant statement. And I asked a student the student at that time was online. And I said, does that make sense? And the student goes, not really. And I didn't do a good job of articulating it. But at the same time, a student in the classroom at that moment, I asked them to open up because they had an example. They opened up their mic and they said it, and the student was articulated far better than I could have, and use an example from the textbook that they just learned. And that's the learning, right? We learn from your students too. And they're gonna bring some of that stuff home. And like Mr. Hollenbeck said, y'all have already cultivated these young human beings, and we're just glad that they grace us with their presence every day.
Yeah, we always say we're the luckiest people in the school to get to teach this particular course with your kids. It's amazing every day, every single day. It's such a pleasure and privilege to be with your kids and learn from them, like Mr. Sibley said. The other super big thing in apps that we want to make sure we hit you with is that it's so much about the experience, and it's so much more than grades. And the kids have a hard time wrapping their heads around it. They oftentimes don't truly get it until the course is wrapping up. But it's the experiences that your kids get in this class that go beyond the textbook, that go beyond exams. That's where the real learning is. And that's what they'll take with them. And Mr. Sibley and I hear it from kids all the time, graduates, kids in college, kids beyond, who email back and say, whatever the case was, that was so valuable in ever so many ways. And so we do push your kids to break out of their bubbles again, it's that exposure, expose them to new things. And normally in a non-COVID time, they get out to museums and the tours of the Capitol. And I don't know what's all going to be okay or not, but it is trying to stretch your kids and get them exposed to different things and enrich themselves, because I didn't have anyone pushing me like that in high school. And I know that I missed out on some years of my life when I could have been much more worldly or broadly minded.
Yeah. I'll say this in class a lot to the students, and it's not my thing. I got it from another teacher, Mr. Brothers. That's the aspect of true learning true learning is uncomfortable. When you're in a point, and I don't think, so we won't get to salons. That's one of the last things that we kind of bring home. But the thinking aspect, a lot of us don't want to think because it causes us to question some of the things that we've already been told or believe. And thinking takes work, and we're going to challenge your student to think. And I say this, and I know Mr. Hollenbeck says it too. I'll tell your student, if I ever say anything that doesn't seem factual, seems like it's missing a point or doesn't make sense, ask me why. Or whoever the person who's bringing that point, ask them why. And if they can't answer the question why, then that's a starting point. And so neither one of us are going to just say stuff flippantly and not have some rationale, have some things or reasons behind it. And if we challenge your student to do that, because that's where we learn. We learn from them just as much as they learn from us. And that's a great, great part of the class. That's part of the experience. And today I went over, and in fourth hour, I'll go over with the rest of the students of extended learning opportunities. And again, some of that's the experience. And Mr. Hollenbeck talking, we don't know what's open. It's COVID. So but they will have that opportunity and they will have to do it, and there'll be different things that we ask of them. But the experience is the learning. I have had kids, both of us have had kids email, but the latest email I got probably like last semester was a kid just said something in class, giving their perspective. But sophomore in college now, 2 years after 3 years, I guess, because we haven't missed juniors, says, you know what, I apologize for my ignorance. And I never called the student, and no one ever called the student, well, at least in my presence, no one called the student ignorant. But the learning after apps happens 2-3 years later sometimes, the experience. And that's what we want these people who are going to change our world for the better to get.
Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite emails that I got from a student a couple of years ago was from a student we'd had in apps. And she was a freshman in college. She did not do well in our class. She struggled. C's, D's kind of thing. And she emailed back after her first week of college, and she was just so excited because she felt she was in a political science class and she felt like she was ahead of her peers. The work ethic she had developed, the study skills she developed, there was terminology that she knew that no one else in her class did. And she was just, it was totally empowering to her. And she just flat out said, the grades were tough, but the learning was worth it. And I just am now really appreciating the learning. So I totally echo what Mr. Sibley said. And the thinking thing, we used to, in a normal apps world, we have salons a couple of times a semester where we get the kids together, everyone's in the same room, and they read they're excerpts from a famous political science book named Political Thinking by Glenn Tinder. And they go through and they talk about the things they pulled out of it. And just blow our minds with all their observations. But when Mr. Sibley was talking about thinking, it reminded me, because right away in that book, one of the very, very first statements that is in it is thinking is arduous. Thinking is arduous. And that's why a lot of people they don't like to do it, because it's time, it's energy, and it puts you on some uncertain ground. If you really, truly think and open your mind to it, then the ground underneath which you are, the ground on which you're standing, it becomes less stable. And people don't like that. And so that's all, again, what we're trying to do with your kids in this class.
And they will get out of the class what they put into the class. And it's difficult during this whole distance hybrid online learning. But we're busting our butt to try to make that experience as authentic and genuine as it was when they all were in our classroom. It's difficult. We ask of you as parents to give us grace in trying to navigate this. We will definitely give grace to your student when it comes to navigating these things, but we'll get through it. But at the same time, we want our students to get out of it. And the first semester, it's been, at least I know I've heard from students that they've gotten, it was a good experience. And that's our goal. The grades will be what the grades are. We'll put them in a position to get their A's and the 39s out of the 36 and ACTs, all that great stuff, right? But again, the experience and the learning is long term, and that's what we're looking for in the apps experience.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that we need to do much more here, do we? We're just kind of winging this like we usually do in front of everyone. Any other big points?
Well, I don't know. It's fun. Like when we get in front of them in person, we can sing to them and dance and stuff.
Yeah. The entertainment value is much worse on.
It is. Maybe we got to work on that. Maybe
we do.
Maybe we should send a follow-up, a part 2. You and me singing Boy George, Karma Chameleon, the culture.
Oh, no, let's
not. Okay, we can do Phil Collins then. How about that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. But if I have Karma Chameleon in my head all day, I'm gonna bitter with you.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sing it to you in a little bit.
I know you will. I know. I never should have let on. I never should have given it ammunition.
Hey, well, y'all, thank you for watching this. I know time is precious these days. And this is just an overview, and then we wanted to get you to know who we are, at least the best we can, and it's Zoom and Google Meet or whatever. That's how we can do it. But please do not hesitate to reach out to us via email if there's any concerns. Another thing we always talk about with students is we see, you know, the anxiety levels of the rigor of the course, but now it's even layered more with the Zoom experience and the distance experience. And so the anxiety of some students, the emotional, the mental toll that it takes on, please keep us in tune with your student, because we don't know what we don't know. Mm-hmm. And I'll cede the floor for you to add to that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And we will both always say, we care about your kids first as human beings and as students second, and anything we can do to support your kids and just be there for them in any way. Please talk to us and encourage your kids to talk to us. It's just really, really a tough time for them. And we know that. We will give them grace. We will be 1,000,000% supportive. But if there are things that you'd like us to know, please let us know. Because like Mr. Sibley said, we don't always see it and it's not always evident. So, but we want to be the very best we can be for your kids. And that's the most important thing for us.
Yeah, so. And humans are great at hiding it. That's why I say I won't say students. Humans, mm-hmm. We're good at hiding those things because of whatever reason, but we need to know, and if we know, we can help, and what we don't know, we can't, and we do try. I mean, that's that we care about them as people.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we got, y'all. We will get this out to you. Hopefully, I'll get this sent to you, Mr. Hollenbeck, and we can send it out.
Yeah, I will do that. Thank you. We really appreciate everyone tuning into this. Thank you for sending us these amazing human beings that we get to deal with every day. And we will do everything we can to give your kids the best experience possible every day for the rest of the semester. So thank you all so much. Appreciate it. And be in touch, please.
Have a good one, y'all.